Hello guys, welcome back to the Overline Football channel. It's been a little bit of a break from us over Christmas and New Year, so we'll get back into the channel now, and we're kicking off with today's video of one player your Premier League club should sign this January transfer window. We're going to go in off best order in terms of teams rather than the Premier League table, because the Premier League table could change all the time. So if you want to skip to a certain part of your video, you know where your club's going to be in alphabetical order, skip to that if you want to, I don't really mind. The first off is Arsenal. Arsenal linked with quite a few players according to Arsenal Fan TV, which obviously is not 100% correct, is it? But we're going to go for... It's important actually Juventus discard this, and I reckon it wouldn't surprise me if he return back to the Emirates. We've gone for Aaron Ramsey to go back to Arsenal. I think we've seen what he could do in the Premier League. He's obviously had a bit of a break now. We saw what it was like in the Euros as well for Wales. He has got what it takes still for me to be in the Premier League and to make a difference. And I feel Coutinho hasn't been great so far for Arsenal when he's come in. Obviously, he's a young lad, but I feel like Aaron Ramsey could. He knows what it's like at Arsenal. He doesn't take much, basically, for him to routine that much. He just fitting basically for all the groups, and I think it'd be a good signing for him personally. What do you reckon?
Yeah, I probably agree with everything you said. I think the main point is that Arsenal have stumbled across a system that's worked well with the three of Smith Rowe, Martinelli and Bukayo Saka in front, behind Alexandre Lacazette, and then they just need to find a partner for Thomas Partey. You said Lokonga hasn't really played well, of course. He's a young lad and he's going to get better as the years go on, or Arsenal hope that anyway. So finding him a partner for the short term, of course at the moment it's Granit Xhaka, but you can see his performances obviously up and down.
Yeah.
He's a player who we saw at the weekend's very rash. Can have a brilliant game
in general. So
just in general, he's just got a stupid moment in him. So if you want a bit more stability, he said Aaron Ramsey knows the club, he knows the Premier League. He's still operating at a very high level. He just can't get into a talented Juventus team at the moment. If Arsenal can bring him back on probably relatively small wages compared to what he's on at Juventus now, I think he could really do a job for Arsenal in the second half of the season.
Aston Villa, we've decided for Joe Gomez on loan. Obviously, you said that'd be a good one for Villa.
I think the Gerrard aspect is a big one for this one. I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure Gomez will have worked with Gerrard when Gerrard was under 21s manager at Liverpool, or academy director. He's one of them roles at Liverpool before he went on to Rangers. So Gomez will have worked with Gerrard before. He needs some game time because, of course, you're never going to displace Virgil van Dijk, but Joel Matip's been a fantastic partner for him, and when Joel Matip hasn't been available, now he's had I think it's COVID he had. Ibrahim Konate's come in and has been just as good. So Gomez needs game time. He's now fourth choice, and I think he could slot in next to Tyrone Mings in that Villa team and be a fantastic addition, working with a great manager who plays similar style of play to Liverpool and get him just sort of, since his injuries, he's not looked himself. He's a fantastically talented player and was one that we thought for England would be a shoo-in for the Euros, and it turns out he was nowhere near. So, yeah, I'm a bit disappointed to see how he's progressed since his injury, but we know he's a top player, and I think that move would be perfect for him to sort of get back on track.
Brentford, we've gone for Billy Gilmour on loan. Well, obviously, you've seen all the chants Norwich fans are singing to Billy Gilmour about his time at at Norwich.
Yeah, I think anyone's time at Norwich has been pretty rubbish on it this season.
I was surprised if Chelsea recall him, then send him out on loan to perhaps a Brentford we're going for.
Well, he's got to be recalled, right? So, and then if Thomas Tuchel sees him as part of the plans for the second half of the season, the caveat to sending him out on loan at the start of the season compared to now is that COVID is rife amongst the Premier League and outbreaks are happening here, there and everywhere. Chelsea will want as big a squad as they can get. Same with most teams. So will they be tempted to keep him around is the question. But if they do decide to send him on, I think he could be a brilliant addition to the Brentford squad. I think, of course, they've got that nice little combination of Mbeumo and Tony, and then they like to attack with the wing backs. So I saw that earlier this week that they want another fullback, but I think another creative midfielder in there just behind Tony and Mbeumo could be a great shout for Thomas Frank.
Brighton, we've gone for actually. Might be quite surprising to Brighton fans. We've actually gone for Jonathan David from Lille. Obviously, Brighton are nicking results, or say nicking, they are doing well on the table. They do not rely on one certain striker, and for me, I reckon Jonathan David will be that certain striker for Brighton. He's on the Lille discard list now. Lille have said they want to get rid of him this January transfer window. For me, I reckon Brighton should go fully straight at it. Obviously, won the league gun with Lille last season. Alongside Barret Yilmaz, obviously full Canadian international, a driving force of Davis there in the Canadian squad. and for me, definitely one for the future as well. And I don't really see often Brighton sign towards the older. They normally sign quite these young players, and obviously they recently signed a lad from Pogoszecz in Poland as well, 18-year-old. So for me, I think John Fernandez would be a good spot.
Sorry, I just think the main point with this is to take some sort of emphasis off Maupay and his goals, just as even if it is a nice little backup squad option. If he still feels like Maupay is his main man, it will push Maupay, and it will take hopefully, you like you said, I mean, you've watched him more than me. He looks like a decent striker, so he will score a few goals for Brighton, and they are outperforming their XG this year, which is quite unusual for Brighton. But they're performing well, and just adding another little bit of source of goals into that will keep them just sort of in that mid-table area.
Burnley might be controversial now for some Burnley fans. We've gone for Ben Brereton Diaz, obviously nearby neighbours with Blackburn. Already got 20 goals in the Championship this season.
I didn't even think about how controversial this would be when you've put that down. That'd be mental.
I would find it just funny, first of all, that happens. Obviously, nearby, perhaps Brereton Diaz wants to make a go for that World Cup. Obviously, he's already a forefront of that Chile squad somehow now already, in that Chile squad. But for me, if Blackburn don't get promoted this season, or they are currently second in the Championship, but for me, I reckon if Burnley need a really good player with Corney now, like he's ran out these South African Cup of Nations, for me, I reckon Brereton Diaz could be a real forefront for Burnley to keep them up in this Premier League, and
it's got to be very tough for Burnley to stay up this year. They're going to be relying on Newcastle being worse. It's slowly looking like it's free of Watford, Norwich, Burnley and Newcastle that are going down. Wolves and that are starting, not Wolves, sorry, Leeds and that are starting to sort of pull away a bit now. And it's going to take a lot, and it's going to take a reliable goal scorer, because you're watching him in midweek until sort of Maxwell Cornet come on, there was no threat whatsoever, and then he bangs in a free kick from 30 yards. So losing him to the AFCON is massive, and Chris Wood and Ashley Barnes haven't been sort of firing as much as they have been in the past. So this could be, well, I mean, he is firing in the Championship, to say the least. What is he? Is he plus 20 goals already?
I think it's 500 to 1 before the season started. 501 before the season started to get
need some sort of
20
spark.
goals.
They've got no spark. They're statistically the 92nd worst team in the Football League at the moment on form, and I have a good friend who's a Burnley fan, and he said it's depressing watching him at the moment. So sort of Cornet normally provides that spark. Cornet's gone for a month as own out. It's going to be hard to find that spark, so I think he's a player that can come in and sort of create that buzz and excitement around Turf Moor, and hopefully pick up the results in the teams amongst them and try and cling on to that 17th spot.
Yeah, Chelsea, we've gone for left back. Obviously, you recommended Lucas Digne. He's a man who's once out of Everton with the big injury to Ben Chilwell. I think this could be a great fit for him personally.
I think this is a no-brainer for Chelsea if they can get it done. I've not seen a few links, but not many concrete links. But a player who wants out of Everton has fell out clearly with Rafa Benitez. He's a top quality left back. Chelsea have lost Ben Chilwell now for the rest of the season, and they're in need of a left back, and he just fits in effortlessly. And I think he'd be fantastic going forward for them in that five at the back. But he's also pretty good defensively as well. You can't play for Everton and be amazing.
Well, for me, I felt Digne's been Everton's best player the past 2 seasons when they 100%. Signed him, and obviously now a big falling out with Everton and Benitez. Look where Everton are on the table now. So obviously it doesn't help with them. Calvert-Lewin's injury as well, but. Yeah, for me, I think Digne would be basically a perfect fit for me there, especially Marcos Alonso can't do 90 minutes every game, can he? So, yeah, Lucas Digne. Moving on to Crystal Palace now. We did struggle a little bit with this one. Obviously, with Wilfred Zaha moving on the African Cup of Nations, and is there another player who's going African Cup of Nations? There we go.
They signed a lot as well in the summer.
But we reckon a little bit on loan turn of the season. Eddie Nketiah, he needs some football. Obviously, he's playing the Championship on loan and getting a bit of game time here and there of Arsenal.
He seems to be one of Mikel Arteta's favoured personnel, especially off the bench. I mean, he's coming on ahead of the likes of Aubameyang, Nicolas Pepe, these sort of players. So Arteta obviously rates him very highly, but would maybe a loan deal for the second half of the season, perhaps, get him some sort of game time and prove him that he can be sort of competing with maybe Lacazette next season for that starting spot. They've obviously got a lot of young talent. The young, Florian Balogun is another one who Arsenal have got in the ranks, and the one young lad who is it? They scored Charlie Patino.
Yes.
So they have got obviously a lot of young talent there in that attacking area. So to prove himself, I think going out on loan.
Charlie Patino plays for Chelsea.
Charlie Patino?
Yeah,
No. He came on and scored for Arsenal in the cup the other day.
Okay.
In the cup. He was in the cup.
Yeah, it would have been the cup, not the league. Yeah.
Yeah, well, there you go then. Yeah, it is. He 100% is Arsenal. Chelsea,
okay.
what?
I thought it was Chelsea. My bad.
Carry on. And now you've got me really paranoid. It's Chelsea. What was I saying? Yeah, the obviously other caveat with this is that Crystal Palace still have a lot of attacking options.
Yeah, I know.
They have Benteke. They have Usain Edouard. Despite Wilfred Zaha going to the African Cup of Nations, they've still got a lot of. And you've said before that they're still scoring goals, but that would be his task to try and fight his way into that side and sort of be a reliable goal scorer for Patrick Vieira.
Everton need a lot of bodies. Yeah. I mean a lot. They've signed it already, haven't they, with the Turkish fullback and Nathan Patterson, obviously the Scottish right back as well. Dwight McNeil, can be a good fit. Harry, what's your thoughts on Dwight McNeil, Everton?
The McNeil thing for me is Burnley seems a bit like a sinking ship at the moment, so it feels like their best player is Dwight McNeil and obviously Maxwell Cornet as well. Mm-hmm. And there was links with Everton in the summer because I remember reading about them and it sort of fell through. There was no sort of completion to that, so maybe they could resurface and McNeil could sort of, because he's not really shone as much as he has done this season, but Burnley have been utterly dire. So it's been tough for him to do that. At Everton, he might have a bit of a new lease of life. Townsend had that little bounce at the start of the season, but he's sort of faded. Demarai Gray obviously has been a sort of bright spark for Everton, so maybe he plays on the opposite wing to Gray with Calvert-Lewin coming back. We thought that could be a good fit for Everton, but Everton need a complete squad overhaul, don't they?
We could have said a lot of players.
They need defenders, they need midfielders, they need everyone. I mean, they've had that young lad playing really well for them. Was it Gordon? I forgot that.
Anthony Gordon.
Yeah. And he's been a little bright spark for him. But apart from that, they're another club that's looked in very dire straits.
Next up, we've Leeds United. I've gone for James.
Yeah,
Milner.
you expect this.
I thought, well, obviously Leeds United now getting towards near the where Bielsa probably doesn't want to be towards the end of the table. Probably need someone with that Premier League experience to go right. Get the troops there, go right. Sort this out. Let's get out of the way. And I reckon James Milner will be perfect for that. Obviously started his career at Leeds United. I think that's basically a perfect fit. Obviously, the centre mid role, Leeds United for me, Calvin Phillips is the main man. Yeah. Wouldn't surprise me if you see Calvin Phillips go in the summer, perhaps into possibly. I'm not saying there are bigger clubs in Leeds, so I'm sorry, Leeds fans, to a bigger club. So it's for him to probably go. I reckon James Milner in January now.
In Europe, basically.
I reckon James Milner coming in now. Maybe Liverpool might not get them going now, perhaps.
Yeah, I think that's the big issue with that. Like I said, with the sort of COVID being rife in the Premier League. I mean, you saw he started the other night.
Yeah.
And Jurgen Klopp trusts him a lot. I just can't see it personally, but Leeds are another team that are in a bit of a limbo period at the moment, and they've had a lot of injuries and a lot of players out with COVID, so it's going to be interesting to see what they're like when they come back.
Leicester City, Philippe Coutinho, linked with many clubs. We reckon he might end up at the Brendan Rodgers reunion party at Leicester City. We can see him. They need probably a centre midfielder with Maddison constantly getting a lot of pressure on him. For me, take the pressure off him. They can feel more comfortable. Getting a big man like Philippe Coutinho, who could carry that Leicester team back into European places for me. Obviously, he hasn't played a lot of football in the recent 2 years, Philippe Coutinho, but there's no doubt his ability at all. And we saw what Brendan Rodgers could do with him at Liverpool, getting the best out of him and making him probably worth the 80 million price budget or whatever Barcelona paying for him was. And I reckon Brendan Rodgers could possibly get him that price tag back. Do you agree?
I'd agree with everything you said. I think Leicester City need a centre back more than anything, but it's just who's available. I mean, we've gone through the list and we've handed a few other teams centre half that I think have been more heavily linked with that club. But Johnny Evans can't stay fit. Carl Garcia-Unchu can't stay fit. And you saw in that mad New Year's Boxing Day game with Manchester City that they can score goals, they just can't stop leaking them at the back at the moment in time. So I don't know if it's a case of when people come back fit they'd be a lot stronger defensively, but at the moment I think they could probably do with a bit more strength in depth in that area because they look quite shambolic at the back at the moment.
Philippe Coutinho anyway. We've gone Philippe Coutinho rather.
Yeah, we have gone Philippe Coutinho. Look, the Rodgers maybe because Barca are desperate to get rid of him, so I don't think it'd matter who he'd go to. It'd be down to the player.
That's why I said.
And if there's no other options, and they're offering the right money, I can't see why not.
Liverpool, Rafinha. Obviously, Leeds' best player this season. Would be harsh for Leeds to have him go.
What was the rumour with Rafinha the other day? Who was it? Was it Barcelona or Real Madrid?
Oh, I've not seen it.
There was rumours with a Spanish club that he was very close to signing to him, and it just sort of went away. was just overnight. Sorry, I should have really researched this more, but it just popped
Was it not
into my
Bayern
head
Munich?
Bayern Munich, it might have been Bayern Munich. Sorry, yeah, it might have been Bayern Munich. Yeah. I think it was Bayern Munich.
But obviously we've seen already, Mane and Salah both going now for a month with a lot of COVID happening now as well in the Liverpool squad.
Yeah.
They're going to struggle massively now for them to come back, and it wouldn't surprise me to see the results struggle now. I think if Liverpool get Rafinha in within the next week, literally after these FA Cup games, into the next Premier League week, I think they should be fine now. Into the top 4 definitely, with the signing of Rafinha.
Top 4? Wow.
Yeah. Well, I think they should be, guaranteed top 4 now with the signing of Rafinha.
Obviously they're not giving up the title yet. I mean,
I'm not saying that, but I'm saying for me, Rafinha will take them into that level to make sure they're comfortable in this top 4. Obviously, I'm not saying Liverpool fans don't go for the champion, like obviously the title, but for me, losing the other squad and Mane and Salah are pretty much your 2 best players apart from Van Dijk, but some of your forwards here, 2 your best forwards, and losing them is basically like just the worst thing that could happen basically for Liverpool. So I think they need a player who's proven quality already this season, need an instant impact, and I think Rafinha will do a beautiful job there for me. So yeah, we're going for Rafinha at Leeds.
Moving on to the second half of the Premier League, we're going on to Manchester City, and I might as well say this one, being a City fan. If you'd have asked me 2 months ago, I probably would have. 2 months ago? If you'd just asked me in September when the sort of summer transfer window had closed, I'd have said Lucas Digne too, because of the sort of left back situation at City. But João Cancelo has obviously been one of the best players in the Premier League in that position since the start of the season. So he sort of nailed down that position. You've got obviously Alexander Zinchenko in reserve, and then obviously on the other side you've got Kyle Walker, etc. So we've gone for Dusan Vlahovic. Him and Erling Haaland obviously are the 2 majorly linked strikers with City since the Harry Kane deal fell through in the summer.
Yeah.
Vlahovic, 21 years old, 19 goals in 17 Bundesliga games.
Serie A.
Sorry, Bundesliga. Serie A. A crazy record at Fiorentina.
Yeah.
And obviously he rejected a contract offer from them in the summer, so he's available in the summer for a cut price because of his contract running out the season after. I personally think that this would be more attainable for City if they were desperate to get a striker, which I don't think they will. They're not going to sell. Obviously, they just sold Ferran Torres, but they're not going to sign anyone this January transfer window, bar some sort of mass COVID outbreak, which started possibly today. I think this is more attainable than signing Haaland. So if City were forced into a transfer, I think Vlahovic would be the one they'd go for over Haaland. If not, they'd wait till the summer for it.
Yeah, I mean, I've got to think itself. We've seen already, you've probably seen on the clips on YouTube or on social media how good Vlahovic has been this season at a very young age as well.
So I don't claim to know loads about the lad because obviously he sort of came onto everyone's radar towards the back end of the season and this season. So, and the links have persisted. Obviously, City would get him for a cut price as well, which would be, and he's 21 years old, so he's same age as Haaland, and he's still putting up similar numbers. So he's a bit underrated. So moving on to Manchester United. It's obvious every United fan that you speak to say they need a DM, and the DM obviously should be Declan Rice, but I don't think Declan Rice is attainable at the moment. So we've gone with Calvin Phillips purely because Leeds are struggling. But again, Calvin Phillips is another one who is Leeds through and through. So would Calvin Phillips move? No idea. But we struggle to think of centre midfield options available at the moment in Europe that could come in and do a job in that sort of area where Big Fred, as United fans like to call him, sort of operate with Rangnick. Would Rangnick even feel the need for a DM to come in? It depends, and then
Calvin Phillips obviously has been known for his pressing at Leeds, and Ralph Rangnick's known for his pressing at Man United. Perhaps it could be
he's perfect in a 2-man midfield. We've seen it with him and Declan Rice in the Euros for England. He's obviously Leeds' main man. We struggled for United because obviously they spend a lot of money and they don't really get any close to any sort of trophies at the moment. So they're sort of they don't. They have spent a lot of money in the forward line and they've not really achieved what they want to achieve. And if you speak to any Man United fan, they say the reason is that we've not got a solid DM option. Declan Rice or Calvin Phillips is that option, but if I was going to go with one, I think Calvin Phillips would be the more attainable option for Manchester United. Anything to add? Or?
No, I think something that pretty much is just going to be, obviously, like you said, it's going to be hard to get either Calvin Phillips or Declan Rice out now.
In January, yeah, it's impossible. If Leeds were going down, then of course it becomes a really big option, but I don't think they'll go down. Anyway, moving on to a team that will go down unless they sign someone ASAP is Newcastle United, and of course I don't know if they've confirmed it. I don't think they have yet. Have they acquired Kieran Trippier?
They probably will be announced by the time.
They probably will announce by the time they've come out. So I don't think that deserves to go on this list. Instead, we've gone for centre-half. We've gone for James Tarkowski. I went to watch City versus Newcastle just before Christmas, and City's first goal, where Kieran Clark left it, was one of the most comical bits of defending I've ever seen in my life. And I remember speaking to a lot of Newcastle fans on that day, and they are absolutely terrified of their defence at the moment, how rubbish it is. They've got a couple of bright spots going forward. Obviously, Joe Linton's been sort of reborn in midfield, and they do need options up front. Of course they do, but defensively is where they're lacking at the moment. They've been linked with Sven Botman,
They have.
and they've been linked with James Tarkowski from Burnley, and that's who we've gone with.
Yeah, obviously Tarkowski, I believe, has got 6 months left on his deal at Burnley. Burnley want a fee out of him, and now's the best time to get it done. Obviously, I reckon they could get about 15 million perhaps to James Tarkowski. And I think he's him and Ben Mee. One of them two are captain. I think it might be Ben Mee's the captain.
Ben Mee's captain.
But he is their starting centre half. Is James Tarkowski at Burnley? But I reckon perhaps if Newcastle get the deal done early, Burnley get their own centre half in there if they wanted to. But for me, I reckon Premier League experience, been in Premier League now for the past 5 years. That back lines for Newcastle, like you said already, is where they need to improve on in terms of the quality of the players and the pitches they have compared to a Premier League squads.
Be competent. Competent bits of defending is what
you want to get.
Yeah, I mean,
go centre half.
I reckon I'd do a better job than Kieran Clark.
But yeah, for us, I think Newcastle need a centre half more than a forward, even with the injuries. Centre half's an option. Yeah,
a bit of a theme of centre halves. Moving on to the next one, Norwich City, who another team who needs just everyone. We've gone for a Nat Phillips, Ozan Kabak reunion at centre half. The team that carried Liverpool to fourth place at the end of last season after they struggled to sort of retain their title. It's not even, I laugh, but they formed a really nice partnership in a much
surprising,
more demanding team and set up with Klopp, and Klopp always raves about he loves him. Look, just to form this sort of partnership might solidify Norwich a bit, and Nat Phillips obviously isn't getting a game for Liverpool, but a few cup games and sort of back end Champions League group stage
and the
games.
turns.
And the Cruyff turns, in the San Siro, fantastic. So yeah, I think Nat Phillips could be a really reliable option for them, and if he can form that relationship with Kabak again, it could solidify him a bit. But I think Norwich are a bit doomed.
I don't disagree with you. I mean, I think it was a stat recently. Norwich's side had not a single player at the time in their squad in the start 11 that actually scored in the Premier League that season.
Christ.
That's all I need to say, really.
Yeah.
But for me, it doesn't really matter who you get at Norwich. I think it's going to be a difficult task. Obviously, Dean Smith steadied the ship a little bit, got a couple of wins on the bounce. But for me, he just kind of realised now what's in front of him. It's going to be difficult for him.
Yeah.
But yeah, I reckon Nat Phillips probably the centre halves that are free in the region for probably would be most realistic for Norwich. Nat Phillips, I reckon, is probably the best shout. So.
Another centre half for Southampton. We're going with Willy Bolly at Wolves.
Bit of a shock for us, wasn't it? Really, seeing him
since
free.
Since he's come back from his injury, he's made one appearance in a League Cup game, and he's not in Bruno Lage's favoured personnel at the moment. Apparently, we've got Connor Cody there. So we looked at Southampton's squad and we think, where would they have improved in the summer? Obviously, losing Danny Ings was massive, but they replaced him with Adam Armstrong. Che Adams can be a bit hit and miss, but he's still performing relatively well. Yeah. They probably need a centre half. They lost Vestergaard to Leicester, so they need a centre half. We think, although probably no links between them, we just think that'd be a nice fit for Bolly to sort of get a fresh start, and he would start alongside. Would it be Stevens in that centre half? I have no idea who Southampton play in centre half.
This is exactly why I think he's centre half.
Exactly. That's our point proven.
So centre half, Willy Bolly, Premier League experience, been around.
Good player as well.
No doubt,
Very good player. Was massive for Nuno when he was at his peak at successful in Wolves. Moving on to Tottenham Hotspur, obviously Antonio Conte is the manager now. Seen a bit of an upturn in fortunes. As the time of recording, lost in the first leg of the Carabao Cup semi-final, very Spursy. But we've gone for a centre midfielder purely because I think they've got able options up front. But I think bar Højbjerg and Oliver Skip in them two sort of defensive midfield positions, they've got a real lack of depth. Harry Winks is the sort of backup option, but I think
he's been playing a lot more recently in the country, to be fair. Harry Winks has, but
we've gone for Renato Sanchez, a player who sort of failed to live up to expectations in the Premier League with Swansea, then moved back to Lille. And was he part of the team that won the title there last season?
He was.
Yeah, so he's sort of gone away and sort of revitalised his career. And maybe we think there's a time for him to step back into into the limelight. We got Renato Sanchez for Spurs. Moving on to Watford, another player who wants out is Said Kolasinac for Arsenal. Completely forgot he played for. I can't remember. I remember him battering someone who tried to mug him once outside his car. That's the last.
That's his highlight from Arsenal. So next West Ham. No, I'm joking.
And that is it. Watford need anyone.
Well, obviously, news recently, Danny Rose has been leaving Watford.
Sorry, that was the
left backs needed. That was one of the reasons we've not done it. That's why the reason we've done it, not because he's a very strong human being.
Yeah. And Watford need anyone. Watford are doomed. This could be a very...
Unless you sell another 10 Ben Fosters, I don't think they're going to stay in the Premier League. So.
Moving on to West Ham, probably the most obvious answer to their problems is re-signing Jesse Lingard. A player they know fits in well with that squad. A player with immense quality that's not being able to sort of flourish as much at Manchester United. I think he needs it for his career. I think he refused a contract, didn't he, at Man United as well. So I think he knows he needs it. And I think this will happen whether it's January or the summer. But if they could get him in January, it might sort of give him a little bit of boost to continue competing for the top four.
They hit or miss the past month and a half or so, West Ham.
Yeah, they have, yeah.
Well, considering the form at the start of the season anyway.
Yep.
But for me, we saw what Jesse Lingard at West Ham this season. It's kind of easy.
Yeah, because he beat Chelsea, didn't they? And everyone thought, and then they lost to City, and then they lost a few games in a row at Arsenal as well. So yeah, but Jesse Lingard will give them a bigger presence in midfield. He's linked it with him before, and they just need a little bit of boost to keep competing for them European spots. Yeah. And last but not least, it's Wolves, and Jamie, you went with William Carvalho. Is it purely because he's Portuguese?
Not the only reason, no.
And that is the end.
Also, Ruben Everest has been linked highly with a lot of clubs. He does every transfer window, but it wouldn't surprise me.
Man United could have been a shout.
Wolves are obviously they know they like the Portuguese players. They do sign players with experience in other leagues, and obviously Bruno Lage is a man he's worked in the past with a lot of players and seen a lot of players in the Portuguese leagues. And for me, William Carvalho, who is at, correct me if I'm wrong, Porto. I hope he's at Porto. If not, I apologise. Will fit in with the experience similar to Coutinho, who got the both played previously in the starting role in centre mid for Portugal together. William Carvalho for me has probably been one of the best centre mids for Portugal in the past 5 years anyway. So for me, I feel like it's a bit of a decline recently in the quality of Portuguese football. So it wouldn't surprise me to see William Carvalho leave and perhaps make a move to Wolves. Maybe not. Well, we said he's going to make a move in January, we know, but he may not leave now. So, but we're going for William Carvalho anyway.
That brings us to the end of this video. Thank you as usual for watching. Keep in touch with all of our socials for future videos. Just a bit of an insight, sooner rather than later now, hopefully I'm having a bit of a setup change, so you might see a bit of a difference in the videos and the way they're set up, and the sort of content we can bring you. I'm a bit limited with just my MacBook, but hopefully a PC should be with me sooner rather than later, and we can sort of expand what we want to do. I really, really, really want to live stream some sort of football content, whether it's sort of just a general chat about football or sort of a watch along.
Even Football Manager, perhaps?
Yeah, even Football Manager. I mean, we're class at Football Manager. Well, we like to think we're class. So, yeah, keep in touch with our socials for that. It's just at over the line YT on all the socials. And yeah, we will see you on the next video.